Chapter 6: The Making of a Scientist by Robert W. Peterson. The chapter, The Making of a Scientist, is a biographical sketch of a renowned scientist, Richard H. Ebright, who excelled in his research on butterflies. His work on the hormones from the spots on a monarch pupa and his resultant findings about the chemical structure of the hormones came out as an answer to one of biology's major puzzles. Summary of the chapter. A former Scout of the Year, Richard H. Ebright surprised the scientific world with his theory on how cells work. He published a paper on his finding in the journal Proceedings of the National Academy of Science with the help of his college roommate. Ebright was 21 at that time. It was as rare an achievement for a scientist as is for a player of baseball when he makes the big leagues at 15 years of age, or scores a home run at the time of maiden batting appearance. Although Ebright earned many achievements later in life, his career in science actually started with his interest in butterflies. Ebright, an only child, grew up in Reading, Pennsylvania. As he did not have much company in this place, he started taking interest in collecting things. In his kindergarten days, Ebright enthusiastically collected butterflies. Apart from that, he also collected rocks, fossils, and coins. He was fond of stargazing too. His mother understood her son's aspirations and encouraged him in his learning. She took him on trips and brought him equipment like microscopes, telescopes, cameras, mounting materials, and the like. Until Ebright went to school, his mother was his sole companion. After the death of his father, when Ebright was still in grade 3, this companionship strengthened further. His mother ensured that Ebright was always busy, as she knew that her child wanted to learn. By the time the young boy reached second grade, he had collected all the 25 varieties of butterflies that were found near his hometown. He was a good student and always earned top grades in school. The mother, ever keen for her son to continue his interests in butterflies, brought a book titled Travels of the Monarch X. The book taught Ebright about migration of monarch butterflies to Central America and sharpened his eagerness about butterflies. This book also made a request to the readers to tag butterflies for research by Dr. Frederick A. Urquhart of Toronto University. The butterfly collecting season in Reading lasted 6 weeks only, and collecting them one by one did not lead the collector anywhere. So Ebright caught hold of a female monarch and raised her eggs in his basement. He tried to raise as many monarchs as possible, tagged them and let them go. However, soon he lost interest in tagging butterflies as it was not a very rewarding job. Of all the butterflies he had tagged, only 2 could be recaptured. In his 7th grade, Ebright came to know of the county science fair. His entry was slides of frog tissues, which he wanted to show under a microscope. Here, he learnt that a neat display of objects is not of much importance, and if one wanted to win prizes, one had to perform actual experiments. The competitive spirit urged him to pledge that for the next year's fair, he would do some real experiment. So he decided to work on insect, a subject he was really conversant with. He wrote to Dr. Urquhart for ideas, and Ebright got many suggestions in return. These suggestions kept him busy all through the high school and also won him many county and international science fair prizes. For the 8th grade project, Ebright worked to find the reason behind the viral disease that caused the death of nearly all monarch caterpillars every few years. He thought that the disease was carried by a beetle, so he raised the caterpillars in the presence of beetles. Although he did not get any results from his experiment, but he won the prize for the experiment itself. Next year, he tried to verify and test the theory that the viceroy butterfly copies the monarch. It was believed the monarchs didn't taste good to birds, so viceroys tried to waylay the birds by giving the impression of being monarchs. However, Ebright's efforts resulted in finding that starlings did not like ordinary food, but ate monarchs greedily. His project won him the first prize in zoology division and an overall third in the county science fair. However, Ebright tells us that later research by other scientists showed that viceroys do copy monarchs. Ebright's project during his second year in high school resulted in the discovery of an unknown insect hormone, which led to his new theory on the life of cells. In this project, he wanted to find out the purpose behind the 12 gold spots on a monarch pupa. It was believed that the gold spots were just ornamental. However, Ebright, along with other budding science students, showed that the spots produced hormones which helped the butterfly to develop properly and completely. Ebright bagged the first prize in the county fair, which earned him an entry into the International Science and Engineering Fair, where his project was placed third in the zoology department. During summer, he got the chance to work at the entomology laboratory of the Walter Reed Army Institute of Research. The next year, Ebright grew cells from monarchs' wings and showed that these cells divide and develop into grown-up butterfly wing scales, provided they were given the hormone from the gold spots. After his freshman years at Harvard University, Ebright went back to the Department of Agricultural Laboratory to do more work on the hormones from the gold spots and was able to identify the chemical structure of the hormone. A year and a half later, Ebright got an idea for his new theory about cell life while looking at the X-ray photo of the hormone's chemical structure. Examination of the photo gave him an answer to one of biology's puzzles about how the cell can read the blueprint of the DNA which controls heredity. Later, the entire theory was published as a paper that explained it in detail with the help of pictures and plastic models prepared with the help of his college roommate, James R. Wong. Ebright surprised everybody by graduating from the Harvard University with the highest honors. He later joined the Harvard Medical School and continued research and experiments to test his theory. If the theory proves to be true, it will be a great stride in ridding the world of a variety of diseases. Apart from his interest in scientific research, Ebright has other interests as well. As a young student, he was an excellent debater and an orator. He took keen interest in outdoor activities and was a good canoeist as well. He is a good photographer and took pictures of natural objects and scientific exhibits. Richard Ebright is a straight-A student and is a great fan of his social studies teacher, Richard A. Weiherer. Weiherer opened many new possibilities for the young Ebright, whom he liked and had high regard for. Ebright has all the qualities of a good scientist. He is the right mix of a first-rate mind, curiosity, and the will to win, qualities that have made him a great scientist. Theme of the chapter. The central theme of the chapter, The Making of a Scientist, is that gifted people are precocious. When a person attains distinction in life, the roots can be traced in his childhood. And untiring will to succeed, a curious mind, and a dedicated effort combine to groom an individual into a genius. The author aims at instilling this thought in the minds of the reader by describing the making of Ebright as a scientist. Message of the chapter. The making of a scientist conveys the message that if one wants to succeed in life and reach great heights like Ebright, one must have sincerity of purpose, single-minded devotion, and determined will. One needs to put in extraordinary and consistent efforts to achieve rare distinctions. In addition, one must be keen to learn and also have a driving curiosity to utilize the potential of a bright mind. The desire to work for the right cause, supplemented with a healthy competitive spirit, are added qualities that help a genius to gain recognition. Sub-message of the chapter. An undercurrent that runs parallel to the main theme is the importance of the role of mother in the early stages of an individual's life. It is the mother whose interest and influence during the formative period of an individual really shape his or her destiny. Ebright achieved great heights in his life because his mother was encouraging, cooperative, understanding, loving, caring, helpful, and above all, his closest companion. Title of the chapter. No other title could have suited this biographical chapter better than The Making of a Scientist. Throughout the chapter, the author gives details about the stages of Ebright's growth as a scientist. His keenness to achieve something great in the field of science and his untiring efforts are the key areas of focus of this chapter. In addition, the author also talks about the qualities that an upcoming successful scientist must have. Thus, the chosen title is apt. Characters in the chapter. Ebright. Ebright was a promising child who always used his time well. As a little boy, he had nothing to do in his hometown reading, so he started collecting things, particularly butterflies. He also collected rocks, fossils, and coins. Besides, he was an avid astronomer and did stargazing at nights. Determination and hard work marked all his activities throughout his life. He was a brilliant student and always did well in his examinations. He believed in doing his work with single-minded devotion. Ebright's mother was always a guiding influence for him. His failures never deterred him, and he learnt from his failures as well. He performed very well in the science fair experiments. He always performed his experiments without much fuss and remained modest in spite of his great success. He exhibited complete devotion and dedication towards his aim when he grew up. He was a good debater and a public speaker. He took a keen interest in outdoor activities like nature, photography, and canoeing. He had a keen and healthy spirit of competition coupled with a curious mind. To sum up, Ebright had all the qualities that make a great scientist and a good human being. Ebright's mother. Ebright's mother was an important driving force behind him, who laid the foundation of his success. Ebright was her only child, whom she affectionately called Richie. After her husband's death, her son, who was in third grade, was her whole life. She would encourage his interest in learning and would take him to trips, buy him telescopes, microscopes, cameras, mounting materials, and other equipment. She would spend almost every evening at the dining table with her son Richie. When he did not have things to do, she would find work for him that would help him learn things. This support, guidance, care, and concern of Ebright's mother helped the growth of a curious child into an accomplished scientist.